The moment Ellie Foster stepped into the garage, a chorus of laughter erupted. There she stood, a slender teenager clad in baggy coveralls, her calloused hands and grease-stained fingers concealed from view. The condescending supervisor gestured toward the damaged engine with a smug grin. Why not allow the mechanic's daughter to experience some embarrassment as well? All eyes were drawn to the scene. She cast her gaze downward, then moved ahead silently. What unfolded next was not merely surprising, it was monumental. As her fingers grazed the surface of that engine, a transformation unfolded, catching everyone off guard. Before we dive in, please give this video a thumbs up and let us know your location in the comments. Your support enables us to share more impactful narratives. Let us commence. The sun poured in through the wide-open garage doors, filling the space with a vibrant hum of activity. Metal clashed, drills screeched, and the soft murmur of technicians questioned what lay ahead. At a mere 5'4", Ellie Foster donned an oil-stained coverall that engulfed her petite figure. She tightened her ponytail and fixed her gaze on the lifeless Mustang as if it had a debt to repay. This was no ordinary vehicle. It had transformed into a myth within the workshop, an untamable creature that had tested the limits of every technician's endurance and self-respect. The engine remained silent, despite the countless hours devoted to tinkering beneath its hood. Experienced professionals, engine specialists, and even a former race team leader had attempted and met with failure. That was precisely the reason Derek Sloan, the new superior with gleaming shoes and an air of self-satisfaction, chose to put on a spectacle. Ellie entered softly, eager to surprise her father with lunch, a cherished ritual she had maintained every Friday for years. Only her father was absent now. After a quarter of a century dedicated to his job, he found himself laid off amidst a restructuring orchestrated by the very man now facing her, arms crossed and a sneer of derision in his gaze. "Tell me, Ellie," Derek exclaimed, his voice echoing through the garage, "do you intend to marry an engine, or are you simply here to gaze at them for eternity?" The sound of laughter echoed against the stark concrete walls. Ellie remained steadfast. She gently set the lunchbox on the closest bench and moved toward the car. Derek arched an eyebrow. "Are you being serious? Do you really believe you can accomplish what 10 men failed to do?" She gave a single nod. "Have you ever considered?" "Proceed." "Reveal to us the true essence of the mechanic's daughter," he proclaimed, stepping back and gesturing dramatically like a host on a game show. The whole garage created a relaxed circle around her. All phones were unavailable. Whispers of wagers filled the air. No one believed she would endure even for a moment. Some simply sought a moment of amusement. The older ones, those who had collaborated with her father, cast their eyes downward, lost in memories of how he often praised her brilliance with machinery. Ellie lifted the hood and paused, taking in the scene before her. Her gaze traversed the intricate labyrinth of wires, bolts, and weathered dignity. She remained unflinching. In the backyard, she had assisted her father in the intricate task of rebuilding engines, all while blindfolded. She had dedicated more hours to wielding tools than to grasping phones. She grasped this language. It simply failed to resonate with a broader audience. Her fingers danced swiftly with assurance. She refrained from seeking assistance, choosing not to grab her phone. As she loosened each bolt, the laughter diminished a bit more. The laughter faded into hushed tones. Soft murmurs fade into quietude. Derek leaned in, his arms still crossed, yet there was an unmistakable shift in his demeanor, hinting at discomfort. He had not anticipated her to even lay a hand on a tool, much less take apart a section of the ignition system with such meticulous accuracy. She glided with the precision of one who had meticulously examined every detail, committed every connection to memory. 5 minutes slipped by, then 10. By the 15th minute, even the man who had recorded her entrance lowered his phone, uncertain if he was witnessing a jest or a marvel. Ellie took a moment, brushed her forehead with her sleeve, and finally met Derek's gaze. "I don't need to prove anything," she stated, her voice unwavering, "but this engine is not beyond repair. It is simply misinterpreted." Then, with a quiet simplicity, she turned the ignition. The engine sputtered to life. 1 time, 2 times. Then it sprang to life with a thunderous roar, Breathless whispers echoed through the garage, instruments abandoned. Jaws dropped. In that fleeting moment, the course of everything shifted. Silence enveloped the room. Not any longer. The instant the engine sprang to life, its roar enveloped the entire garage. The resounding tremor reverberated through the metal framework, ricocheting off the surfaces like a battle call. All eyes were locked on Ellie, as if she had just pulled off an impossible feat in front of an audience of the bewildered. The previously dormant Mustang now hummed with life. No, it's a low, rumbling sound, with a level of effortless strength that even the most seasoned technicians had been unable to achieve. Ellie took a step back from the car, brushed her hands against her coverall, and inhaled deeply. For her, this was not an act. This was instinctive recall. This was reality. This was the expression she had inherited, imparted by her father not through spoken language, but through countless years of hard work, unwavering patience, and a steadfast faith. However, for Derek Sloan, it was a completely different matter. It was a profound sense of shame. It was a collective unraveling. The audience that once shared in his joy had fallen silent. The very men who once admired him now averted their gazes, caught in a web of uncertainty about where their allegiance truly lay. Devices were gradually brought down. The cameras have ceased recording, not due to its conclusion, but because they had just experienced something genuine, something that required no enhancements or alterations. Derek moved ahead, managing a dry laugh. Perhaps it simply required a feminine perspective, he suggested, attempting to regain some semblance of authority. No one replied. Ellie cast a fleeting look in his direction. Her expression was serene, inscrutable, yet her quietude resonated more powerfully than any machine. The shop foreman, a man with a grey beard named Roy, who had been working alongside Ellie's father for more than 20 years, finally spoke up, shattering the silence. He applauded with a single clap, followed by another. Gradually, more began to join in. The applause was not the sort typically reserved for a performance. It was the sort of gradual, resonant applause that arises when individuals come to understand they have underestimated someone for an extended period. Roy advanced, his gaze glistening yet unwavering. He spoke gently. "Your father would have been proud. That was more than merely repairing an engine. That was a masterpiece." Ellie gave a single nod. She sensed a constriction in her chest, yet managed to maintain her composure. She had vowed to herself that tears would not fall in this space, not before those who had overlooked her for so long. In an unexpected moment, the door to the owner's office let out a slow, eerie creak as it swung open. A man in his 60s, impeccably attired, stepped out, his silver tie shimmering beneath the garage lights. All eyes were drawn. This was Harold Whitman, the proprietor of the garage, a figure who seldom made an appearance unless a lawsuit loomed or a record-breaking sale was at hand. He had been observing from the office window all along. "Who is this girl?" he inquired. Derek took a moment to clear his throat. Simply, just Foster's daughter. She was paying a visit. She decided to take a chance on it. Mr. Whitman cast a glance at Ellie before shifting his gaze to the Mustang that was now speeding away. "That engine has been lifeless for 4 months," he remarked with a measured tone. "We have lost 2 clients because of this, and we have invested more in diagnosis than it was truly worth. So, she just strolled in and revived it, huh?" Ellie remained silent. Mr. Whitman advanced, his gaze sharpening as if attempting to pierce the tranquility she projected. "Could you please tell me your name?" "Ellie," she remarked. "Is it Ellie Foster?" She gave a slight nod. He shifted his gaze to Derek. "You allowed her father to leave. What is the reason?" Derek's lips parted, yet silence enveloped him. The perspiration on his brow shimmered like liquid gold. Mr. Whitman redirected his attention to Ellie. "Join me on this journey. I wish to engage in conversation, in solitude." And just like that, Ellie stepped away from the throng, not merely as the mechanic's daughter, but transformed into something altogether different, a force to be reckoned with. Ellie trailed behind Harold Whitman as they navigated the lengthy corridor towards his office. The walls were adorned with vintage black and white photographs, each frame holding a moment frozen in time from years gone by. Her father was captured in one of those moments, youthful and beaming, standing next to a freshly built car, blissfully unaware of the passage of time and what it would eventually take from him. Ellie lingered on the photo for a moment longer than necessary, then averted her gaze. Mr. Whitman graciously held the door open for her. The aroma of leather and wood polish enveloped the office, each element within it whispering tales of legacy and authority. He shut the door softly after her departure and made his way to the desk, hesitating for a moment before taking a seat. He regarded her with an intensity that made her feel both acknowledged and evaluated, as if he were examining the intricate mechanisms hidden behind her serene facade. "I recall your father quite vividly," he said, his voice measured and deliberate, reserved, devoted, the type of individual who always offered more than he sought. Ellie remained quiet. Mr. Whitman inclined his body slightly, eager to engage. "Are you aware that your actions just now were quite unusual? The engine underwent a complete disassembly and reconstruction on 3 separate occasions. We sourced diagnostics from Detroit. It did not succeed in any of the evaluations. What did you perceive that remained unseen by others?" Ellie inhaled deeply. She mentioned that there was a grounding fault in the wiring harness. It remained hidden unless the voltage line was completely rerouted. Many individuals perceive it as a series of tasks to complete. I perceive it as a pulse of life. If you pay attention for a while, the truth reveals itself. Mr. Whitman offered a subtle smile, then reclined in his chair. "Your voice carries the essence of your father." The quiet lingered in the air around them. Then he remarked, "Derek is not someone I readily place my trust in. He speaks eloquently, yet offers very little substance. He released your father without discussing it with me, claiming he was too slow and outdated. However, if you had the ability to mend what others could not, I would be surprised if your father ever faltered." "Share a thought with me, Ellie. Are you interested in joining our team?" Ellie opened her eyes wide. "Excuse me." "An extensive apprenticeship, compensated access to all tools, every vehicle, and every sophisticated diagnostic system in our possession. You would make history as the first woman in tech at this garage. However, you wouldn't merely be an image. On a pamphlet, you would be an unstoppable presence." Ellie paused, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. This was the opportunity her father had always dreamed of for her, the one he never got to seize himself. And yet, an unsettling sensation lingered. "Why at this moment?" she inquired. Mr. Whitman nodded with a deliberate slowness, suggesting he had anticipated the inquiry. Sometimes a little spark is all it takes to awaken a machine's dormant capabilities. "You are the ignition of inspiration. And because this place is flawed, Ellie, not just the vehicles, the very essence of its culture, it requires restoration from within." Ellie gazed downward, lost in thought, her fingers nervously toying with the frayed edge of her sleeve, marked by grease and the weight of past experiences. She was often perceived as the one who followed, the one who provided sustenance, the offspring of what once was. At this moment, she held the opportunity to shape what was yet to come. Out of the blue, the office phone began to ring. Mr. Whitman responded, absorbed the information, and then activated the speaker mode. "She is here with me," he stated. Derek's voice broke through the static. "We find ourselves facing a predicament, sir. A client whose car Ellie has just repaired is inquiring about some details. He is eager to find out who was involved, and he insists that she come out immediately." Mr. Whitman gazed at Ellie. "Are you prepared for that?" Ellie gave a slow, deliberate nod. "Let us find out what he desires." Upon exiting the office, she felt the weight of everyone's gaze upon her once more. Yet this time, not with uncertainty, but with admiration. As Ellie re-entered the garage, the heavy air felt charged with an eerie stillness. The dialogue had ceased. Instruments were set aside. Technicians lounged against their workstations, feigning disinterest as they observed. Yet all gazes were fixed upon her. Before the freshly restored Mustang stood a tall figure, clad in a designer coat, impeccably groomed, with piercing blue eyes and an air of tranquility that hinted at affluence without pretension. His vehicle had arrived on a tow truck. Once more it pulsed with life, and he sought the truth. He reached out his hand. "Did you take care of it?" Ellie brushed her hand against her sleeve one final time before extending it for a shake. Indeed I am. His hold was strong. I am Patrick Renner. That car belonged to my late brother. Over the past year, I have visited 6 different garages, while others stumbled. You stood tall. He gazed at the purring engine still roaring like a wild creature set free. You returned it. Ellie gave a single nod. The blame does not lie with the car. It simply required a person who could truly hear. Patrick inclined his head thoughtfully. Such a talent is hard to come by in today's world. Mr. Whitman had approached her silently. Mr. Renner is more than just a client, he remarked. He possesses a remarkable collection of classic cars, one of the largest in the state. Your actions here did not go unnoticed. Ellie's breath hitched, yet she maintained her poise. Patrick pressed on. I have an idea to share. I am broadening my private restoration division. I am seeking a new lead mechanic, a person who perceives machines through your unique perspective, one who transcends mere instructions, grasping the essence within. The onlookers surrounding her made no effort to conceal their responses, gasping, murmuring, astonished faces. This was more than merely a job offer. This was an extraordinary chance that may never come again. I want you, Ellie, Patrick said. Complete compensation, assistance with relocation if necessary, a dedicated team and an unrestricted budget. Your responses will be directed solely to me. Ellie sensed the room swirling around her. Her mind drifted to thoughts of her father, Shitai. Reflected on the garage that held the essence of his finest years, always overlooked. And now there she stood, presented with the opportunity to take the place at the table he had always been denied. Derek attempted to move ahead. Sir, she is merely a novice. We were in the process of assessment. Patrick lifted a hand, effectively, quieting him without so much as a glance in his direction. I can recognize skill when it presents itself, and I can tell when someone is being dishonest. For the first time all day, Mr. Whitman wore a smile. Derek, I believe it would be wise for you to take some personal time for yourself, for an unspecified duration. Derek's expression dimmed. He pivoted deliberately, stepping out of the garage. In silence, Ellie fixed her gaze on the floor for a moment, her emotions teetering on the brink of overwhelming her. Then she raised her gaze. I'll do it, she declared, but only if I can take one thing along. Patrick arched an eyebrow. Give. Eat a name. The tools of my father. They remain suspended in the back room. I aspire to create the future using the legacy he has provided. Patrick gave a slight nod. Completed. As Ellie stepped out of the garage that day, the sun piercing through the clouds above her, she transformed from the daughter of a forgotten mechanic into something more significant. She embodied the promise of tomorrow, a beacon for every spirit that ever questioned her potential. The day a girl, dismissed by all, accomplished the impossible and transformed everything, would forever remain etched in their memories.